Potential Podcast. I'm Mike. This is Ryan. We're going to get started here, taking off, talking about some business and a little bit of everything else this morning. Thanks for joining.
Morning. So what have you learned this week, Mike?
It's Tuesday.
Well, you can just go for the last 7 days.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I had a really good weekend connecting with people and some decisions, some confirmation that decisions I'd made have been the right ones, even though it doesn't look like that quite yet. But I can see the bigger picture. So I've been spending a lot of time trying to focus on the bigger picture.
That's awesome to get some confirmation early on sometimes that I'm making the right decision, even if I'm not seeing the fruit yet.
Yeah. I think yesterday morning when I showed up here, I felt like I was in the way. and I thought I was throwing off the groove of things. It was, and I was a little, when you came in yesterday morning, I was a little bit off, but it was trying to reset and then be back. But I also, I came into work late and it was just, it's going to feel like it's going to feel when we get back from the meeting later on this morning, right? Mm-hmm. That I'm just stepping into my own office, but it's not my office anymore. It feels very much like that.
Yeah, and this guy stole his desk yesterday, so it really felt bad.
Well, that part didn't bother me. I didn't, I wasn't concerned about the whole desk thing. It was just, it's coming in the middle of the morning and feeling like I'm throwing off the groove of the office, right? I sent an email out, sent a couple of text messages, talked on the phone, and then all of the guys were out at work and nobody needed to talk to me.
Hey, that's the dream.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a great thing, as long as I have everything in place that needs to be in place.
Yeah, and I think you do. I think that you have the pieces and they're building. They're coming together and building. So you got a manager in place now. You've got staff that are doing each individual task that otherwise you would have to do. And so now you just got to coach them and train them to really take it and make it their own. And then, like you said, step out of the way.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. And this sets you up for next month where you can get out of here for hopefully a week, right?
Oh, we'll see about that. Yeah. I have to get this stage of finances figured out first. Because that is where most of my stress is coming from right now.
Money, it comes and goes.
It definitely goes. It's just it's the common part that's not working out.
That's what she said.
Mm. Yeah, story of my life. Yeah.
All right. Well, so you're learning to focus on this new normal and turn things over and relinquish some of that control, which is good. Are you building a system on that?
Building a system on?
A bad question. How are you systemizing stepping out and just being the salesperson and overall manager of this business?
Oh, well, there's some training that's going into that I'm still learning. The system of what my daily routine has been passed off. Mm-hmm. So my personal routine still stays the same, but checking the schedule, and obviously checking finances is still a big part of my job. But phone calls and handling the scheduling, really, that's its own system in place. You just got to follow Service Titan, right? Mm-hmm. And then the biggest system was the guys calling me and going, well, what do I do now? Or where can I go next? Or what's my next job? How do we make the day most efficient to where we're making the most money? All of that's already been passed off, mm-hmm. and it's already built into that CRM, right? Basically of that, the daily payroll tasks. Really everything. There's a couple of systems based off of bonuses that have to be sorted, but a lot of that's going to come with the sales side of the shower and bath, side that we've started. So for the most part, I don't need to do any of that. really don't have anything hardly much to do.
Yeah. So you bought a computer system, and you're using it as part of your overall office system, and making your life a lot easier, and also making it so the people in the office don't have to figure out what they have to do every day,
right.
Or the guys in the field. And
The daily goals, I think probably the biggest one, Ryan, will be the Monday morning meetings, the stuff that keeps the company going. And it'll take him a little bit to get his rhythm and the rhythm of me stepping out and not being here so much, of lunches and the same routine that was like, hey, let's do this today, guys. That'll be someone else's rhythm now. Those things haven't been systemized, I guess, and that's probably something that needs to, like, hey, 6 times a month, this is what you got in the budget. Gifts, use your, keep the culture going, right? That I was able to create with this great team. So I think that's a big part of it. And,
yeah. Well, and you talked about the finances side of things. You found a great bookkeeping team and accounting team, and that has just kind of melded with your team, because they just kind of plug in and fill holes, and sometimes even do things that you haven't asked them to do, which is great.
Yeah.
Going over and above. Are there any other financial systems that you operate with to keep this thing humming and profitable?
The budget's a huge one. I don't like budgeting. It's not my favorite. In my personal life as well as business, it's probably one of my least favorite, even though valuable tactics, right? So I'm very good at it, and it's obviously necessary for a business, right? So we've just finished in the last week creating the budget for the business of what our monthly costs are. Now we're starting to break that down to, okay, is this affordable for this section? Should we, limit where we're going with that? And then different goals, vacations, corporate trips, that kind of stuff. Obviously, February is a great time to go take a corporate vacation as a team, because it's very slow.
Yeah, slow month, and it's good to get out of the winter weather, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in this trade, even though I hate using that term, as you know, that it's a slow season, I very dislike that. Even if it is something that picks up in time, taking a week and scheduling something like that, February is the time to do it. So trying to get that road out to what it looks like. It's very difficult to budget when things go up and down. So it's learning how to stabilize that. But I think a lot of that's going to come with the different levels of marketing that we're trying out, and getting out more in the community now, and me being able to do that as a sales rep and company rep. I haven't, honestly, short of you and a couple of meetings, I haven't been out in the community much, because I've been working so hard.
Yeah. The only people you've been meeting were active customers. They've already called you and given you money, and you're just out there doing a job for them.
Yeah. So now it's time to really take the brand to the whole next level. Right? So anyway, that's the system that we've been trying to set the budget in place, where the money is, how many bills we've got, so that we can really start calculating profit and losses each month, every 2 weeks, whatever's necessary.
Yeah, and that's your system. You guys out there, when you're doing your business, whatever your system is, it works for you. That's the important thing, is that you have a system. It might be totally different than mine or Mike's. I know mine's different than Mike's, partially because of the size of the organization, and partially just personality-wise. I need more control in some areas and less in others.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't really matter, right, Ryan? Whatever size you get, even if you get to, probably next month, 26 million, probably something like that. Yeah. Then, you still need to budget.
Yeah. You've seen all these billionaires who run out of money. It's more millionaires than billionaires, but you see them. It happens because it goes out as fast as it comes in.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much you make if you spend more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a budget and work that budget, just like everything else.
Well, then you can accurately watch the wealth grow, and that's a very, it creates a dopamine response, right? When you watch that account go higher and higher and not dip down in the negative anymore.
Right.
And you spend your life with that happening, and then it finally starts to grow and increase. You go, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, hopefully you've been around long enough where you had that experience where you're like, oh, geez, I didn't have to transfer, or I didn't have to tell somebody to hold a check or skip a payment just so I wouldn't go in the negative this month. It's been a good month, you know.
Yeah.
And I think everybody, you know, especially when you're young, unless you're just, you know, some money nerd who doesn't spend anything, we've all been there where we've been like,
a money nerd. That's great.
you all know who I'm talking about. You know,
Yeah.
CJ. No. No, just that person who, you know, doesn't spend any money. They've got, you know, 10% going into their savings account every month, and actually do it. You know, things like that.
Yeah, putting it in the envelopes. You know, I remember doing that. Yeah, when we started doing, you know, Dave Ramsey's teachings in the beginning, it was pull all your money out, cash it, and then you put all the budget in the envelopes in cash, and then that's what you would spend.
Oh yeah, well, I think we did that one month. We were like, all right, this is a little over too much.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can live that way because I don't spend hardly anything on myself, or I don't spend hardly anything, period. But Ashley's the one who pays all the bills and manages most of the money with my, you know, limited oversight. But she's the one who handles it all. So I was like, okay, if you don't like this, then we're not doing it. Just like everything else, if the system doesn't work for you, doesn't matter how good the system is.
Yeah, and the system happens to be your wife.
She is the best system I've ever adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah, she helps in a lot of ways. So, all right, so keep the systems going, keep building that, whether it's, you know, budgeting, payroll, management of guys, the office SOPs, get a standard operating procedure and put it to work. Once you build a system, then it's just the sometimes hard, sometimes easy job of working the system, right? It's sometimes easy to say, okay, we built the system. Oh, well,
and
we'll go outside the system this time. We'll go outside the system.
Making enough money to keep the system rolling without you a part of it, right? The whole purpose of a system, if it's just you and a couple others, there's certain things that it doesn't make sense to systemize, because the whole point of the system is letting somebody else run it. And if you can't afford to pay somebody else to do it, then you might as well be figuring out how to make more money before you utilize that system, even though you may have created it, right? So, I mean, we've been in business for 2 years, and we just finished the budget last week.
That's funny. I could have sworn you told me months ago you had a budget. You probably had a budget.
Oh, I probably made that up. I don't know. Maybe wanted to sound.
Maybe. Oh yeah, we're just doing budget stuff.
Wanted to sound like I knew what I was doing. Like, yeah, we've got a budget for coffee. When the reality is, I don't know.
Fiscal responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, those are the things that you're supposed to say. As a, you know, as a business owner, I was like, yeah,
budget, accountability, certitude, and all that stuff. Right? Yeah. Right. What's certitude? I don't know.
Yeah. It's a big word. I don't know how to spell it, but you know,
fiduciary.
Yeah, fiduciary. Watch your mouth. We're on live. Yeah.
Keep those fiduciaries out here. Yeah. He's a real fiduciary. All right, enough of that. On that note, what have you been doing lately to make more money so that you can put your systems to work and step out and do some fun things? And when I say fun things, I'm talking about Mike. That means starting his latest brainchild, whether that's a coffee company or a
that is very, very
a gymnastics gym or whatever it is.
I haven't thought about that one.
There you go.
It'd probably take me a little bit to come up with a name for it, but yeah.
Putt golf. Yeah.
Well, that one's wrote down. That somehow came up in one of the conversations with someone, and John had brought up the idea of a batting cage.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea. And then putt golf obviously was a natural step next to it.
Yeah. Diversify in order to be more profitable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
anyway, making more money here recently, February was, by far has been the slowest month in the last
Six.
6 or 7, right? And so guerrilla marketing, jumping out there doing that and getting more involved with the Chamber of Commerce, having time to do that, the local events, and putting signage up, door hangers, and
Well, that's huge because, and this is something that you can systemize also, so that when it is slow, and Mike's, in Fiji or whatever.
boy, that'd be awesome,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
I mean,
So,
they make the greatest water. Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to go to Fiji? You know?
my kids, I can't remember if it's Fiji or one of the Samoan islands, but my kids are like, yeah, they've got spiders like this big. I don't know if I want to go. And I was like, but it's Fiji. I'd want to go. I don't care how big the spiders are. Anyway, so Mike's in Fiji, and it's a slow day. Having a system of, okay, Jacob, John, whoever the guy is, they just say, okay, I don't have a call right now. I'm going to take 20 flyers and go pass them out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go reconnect with 5 business owners who I've talked to in the past that they're not on Unrivaled Shield yet.
Yeah.
So that, Mike doesn't have to be here to go, hey, clean your truck, resort your tools, all that stuff. You'll make some money. And so, well, once again, if you have a system, then Mike doesn't have to be here and you can keep making money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least if there's at least 20 people a month moving into Montrose, right? Or really whatever town you live in, if you think of it like that, in the surrounding areas. So there's going to be new people consistently. And the expo what we went to a few weeks ago was the realization that there were still a lot of people that had never heard of us.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And but we're close to number 1 on Google, and active, on radio and all the other stuff. But it's really just getting out there to being, we're the only option when people need a plumber. Then when it comes to that point, so yeah, for I mean, years and years and years to come, we're going to be doing some heavy advertising until we just can't keep up anymore. A lot of that comes from just straight visibility, because there's so many people still calling the competition because they didn't know there was any other option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all your competitors, the newest one probably started up 10 years ago, and everybody else, has been here 25 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And so they're, the name to call. People have probably already used them once or twice. And if they're from somewhere else, they say, oh, that's a national chain. I'll call those guys. They got to be at least okay, right? Which is wrong. But cut that out, Joanna.
Yeah.
we don't want to make enemies. But
yeah, I don't know about that. I mean,
we want to make enemies with our success, not with our words, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we want them to be jealous. So yeah, well, I know when I first started working for you, and this is when I really got heavily involved less than a year ago, and I would tell people, oh yeah, I'm doing some stuff for Unrivaled Plumbing. They'd go, oh, I haven't heard of them. It's becoming less often, but it still happens on a regular basis because 2 years is very little when it comes to people's memories. If they haven't had a plumbing problem lately, they've probably never seen your name.
Right. And if you buy a new house, it's normally 10 years before you start really needing, depending on who plumbed it. But it's usually 10 years before stuff starts to really wear out. 8 years for a new water heater, that kind of thing. So 8 to 10, you're going to start having issues, unless you have a clogged sewer. But for the most part, with new plumbing, it's 8 to 10 years before you've got to call, a new plumber. And so that's a lot of our homes here, right? I mean, 10 years ago, well, you just moved here, and your home was new or close to it. It was 6 to 8 years, right?
We built 7 years ago. And before that, we were in a house that was 10 years old.
Yeah. But pre-COVID, I mean, Montrose was what, 20,000 people?
Yeah, something like that. So when we moved here in 2010, it was 15,000 people.
Yeah.
And now it's close to 25. So 14 years, 15 years, and
oh, I was told it was 36.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. The town itself is just under 25.
Oh, okay.
So, and here's, for those of you who are somewhere else in the world and somewhere else in the country, you can build a really big, profitable business. You don't have to be in, big metro area or, LA or something like that. Or Aspen. You don't have to be in Aspen to make a lot of money. especially if you're doing a valuable service. If there's a need for what you're doing, doesn't matter where you're at or what the economics are like.
Yeah,
There's
you
going to
have
be
to
a
follow the
market.
cost of living for that area, right? And that's all we're doing.
Mm.
And charging a lot, but it's expensive to live here comparatively to
Alabama.
Alabama, even yeah, it's like Eastern Colorado, right?
Mm.
There's some places over there that are cheaper to live than here, and this is just what it costs to live here, and so we charge accordingly for that, so that our employees can have a life here.
Yeah,
Because who
absolutely.
wants to live in a cabin? Well, some people want to live in a cabin off the grid, but most people don't.
I want to have a cabin off the grid, but I
Yeah,
don't want to live there all the time.
yeah,
It gets cold in the
cabin
winter.
off the grid next to a lake. That's great for 4 months out of the year. Yeah,
4 weeks probably.
but yeah, depending on the lake and the elevation. Yeah,
And the company.
and the company. Yeah.
Too many bears, too many mountain lions. Yeah. Anyway, now is a great time to mention our sponsor, Unrivaled Plumbing and Heating. For all your plumbing and heating needs, professionals you need when you need them, same day service guaranteed. Thank you. So, my favorite quote right now, now I'm blanking on who said it. Henry David Thoreau, maybe? No, that's not right. I'll look it up again, but the quote, and I posted it on the Foster Connections page because I felt like it was really it fit for foster care and raising kids and stuff like that. But it's a lot easier to raise good children than it is to fix broken adults, like broken men. Um, and I can't, like I said, I wish I could remember who said it, but I thought, wow, yeah, that's so true. You think about all the broken men that are running around and causing problems and things like that. If somebody had just spent a little more time and a little more effort, a little more discipline when they were kids, who knows how different their life would be. We were talking about this with my wife and I were talking about this with somebody the other day because when we were doing foster care, we more than once had kids in foster care who their mom and dad had been in foster care, and I think one of them, even the grandmother had been in foster care. So of course they're not great parents. They've never seen great parenting.
Right.
Yeah, they don't know what right looks like. So yeah, and now we were talking about them because now the fourth generation is actually in that family is going into foster care, and it's like,
yeah, hurt people, right? It's just a chain that keeps going down. And
yeah, we've systemized. Now we've implemented the system. Let's go back. So this is a terrible segue, but it does bring me back to something we were talking about earlier before we turned on the camera. A lot of my job has been throughout the years to help business owners get back to doing what they wanted to do in the first place. They didn't get into business solely to make a lot of money, most of them. Excuse me. They didn't get into business because they wanted to, they weren't Steve Jobs, they weren't inventing these, miracle products or anything like that. They got into business because they were good at something or liked that trade or that profession and figured, hey, this is the best way to do it is to have my own business. And somewhere along the way, most of us get away from that. It's okay, I just got to make money. Oh, now I've got a payroll that I've got to make. Okay, I've got people that I have to keep fed and keep alive and things like that. And so the whole joy of, whether it's plumbing or inventing or painting or whatever it is, goes away. So I've tried to help them. Like, okay, let's get the business running well so that you can actually do what you like to do, whether that's going back out in the field as a plumber or being able to talk to the customers more. Well, in your example, like you're great in front of an audience. Let's put you in front of more audiences. And the audience of one in a home while you're fixing their water heater is not the audience I'm looking for.
yeah, right.
So that just was a really long way of asking, why did you get into business?
Well, I thought I had a lot to offer. right? So I didn't think I was better than any other company. I know there's that talk of entrepreneurs that get in there because they're frustrated. My situation specifically was there was a lifestyle and also I could have stayed working for someone. If I'd been in a previous company, I probably would have stayed working for them. And then just some of it was not treated well. Some of it was finances. Some of it was, I think I could do this. And originally I had that dream, 10 years ago. And that dream got eliminated through some awful experiences, right? So it was who I worked for and just some self doubt, I think, probably. So I started the business going, okay, right now I don't have any other choice. I need to be making money. I feel like I can do this a little bit better. Didn't like the system I was working under. Didn't think it worked well for me at all. And some people probably think that about the system I've created now too. Everyone's allowed to think that. It worked well for that company. It didn't work well for me. I did like customer service and the fact of sitting and talking to someone. So when I feel like I can't do that, then I don't feel like I'm offering as much as I'm able to, sitting and talking to a client for an hour, stuff like that. So I went off on my own to be able to have that time back again of going, yeah, let me talk to you. Let me get to know you a little bit, offer you great customer service and good work and good workmanship too. Not better than anyone else, just on my time. And I think that was a big part of it. Getting into business it was now my time. I'm in control of it. I spent so much of my life being out of control, not only in my own head, but also based off of companies too, right? So
yeah,
but that's what we got time for today.
Taking back control. Yeah, well, so we'll delve back into that more. So thank you guys for joining us for the Unrivaled Potential podcast.